What's up, guys? Barry Gaming here, back with some more Idle Heroes, and today we're going to continue our artifact series, and we're going to talk about one of the strongest PvE artifacts in the game, and that is going to be Antlers Cane. So, starting off with the basic one, it is giving 70 precision, 25% attack, and 60 skill damage. So as you guys know from the stats video we did earlier this week, skill damage basically gives you a plus percentage on your active skill and a multiplicative damage on any of your dots that your hero builds. So if you do have a dot hero, this artifact's very good. Speaking of dots, I mean Ithaca. Yeah, so one thing to remember is with this Antlers Cane, 70% precision is great because that's going to get around any type of blocking that the enemy has. But what it also does is it gives 30% of that as attack value. So 10% of this right here is what, 7%? So you're getting 21% bonus attack just from precision. Then you're also getting 25% more attack. So this artifact in reality has 46% attack bonus. That's why it is it's just hands down above the rest when we're talking about pure PvE damage. Now, when we say PvE damage, we're talking about situations like guild bosses, anywhere you need to ramp up your damage. We're not talking about like Vortex, although it is used in Vortex quite often as well. So it's an interesting one. The regular one is great, is good, but it really shines when you get to Splendid, especially because you get Blessing of the Wild. When a round ends, increases all damage dealt by 9%. And yes, that does stack. So actually, how much damage is it in round 15? So if we have when a round ends, technically you only get to end 14 rounds then. So that's an extra 126% damage dealt. That's a lot. On top of all the amazing bonuses of this. So there are some situations you are definitely going to use this. Every time we do a PvE Broken Spaces or Guild Boss video, this is what we're using because of that stacking all damage dealt, let alone all the attack value, plus a little bit bonus of the skill damage as well. But remember, this 60% only gets added to active abilities. So if you have a hero that's doing 1000% attack on their active, it's not multiplying it by 60, it's adding 60. So instead of 1000, you're going to do 1060% damage with your attack. So it's not huge. Some heroes that have lower values for the active skills, it is more significant. The ones that have giant values, not so much. But this right here, the stacking damage, is really where this artifact shines. So there's a few heroes we want to talk about here. Most of the heroes in this faction are not PvE heroes. There are some exceptions though, mainly being the best wielding Antlers Cane hero in the game, Ithaca. Why? Well, Ithaca has the highest damage potential because of her poisonous blades. This isn't a percent of attack damage. This is when Ithaca releases skills or normal attacks, they poison the target, dealing damage by 50% of the damage dealt. So that dot that is being applied is based on her damage dealt. And when you have things like Heart Watcher, the Phoenix buff, Drake lowering all the defenses, the damage gets insane and the dot becomes humongous. When she crits, bleed the target, dealing damage by 50% of the damage dealt. Oh, that's just kind of crazy. She does insane amounts of damage. I mean, yes, she also has 100% armor break afterwards, but it's like, who cares? Like, that you already have a Drake on your team. She is absolutely insane. She is still like the best single target damage dealer in the game overall, especially when you pair her with the Delacium army. Granted, some Transcendence heroes definitely give her a run for money, but besides that, there's really no one in the Shadow faction you want to use it on unless it's your best damage dealer. Another one that can do well is Horus. Granted, you really want to get blocks as often as possible. So if you can use an Antlers Cane purely in a PvE boss situation while having like a block stone, is not bad. You can make it work, but in reality, no one from the Shadow faction besides Ithaca gonna get that much benefit out of it. But we're gonna move on over to the Fortress faction, and this one is very interesting. So Fiona can do pretty solid damage in the PvE environment, especially if you have more than one of them. Mainly because the sanction marks stack up and just allow her to do crazy amounts of damage to single target. So if you do have her, she's actually not horrible when we're talking about boss scenarios. So you can consider putting it on her. Another one that's very good with it is Inosuke. I think we did most of our sea lands back in the day with an Antlers Cane. Is very strong. The bonus damage is good. The skill damage, not so much, but the pure attack scaling is very, very good. And besides that, again, not really anybody else I would put it on. I've seen some people use it on Penny, but Penny's better with either a Punisher or a Kiss a Ghost. Antlers Cane doesn't really suffice for anybody else except for an old school hero like Sigmund. Sigmund's counterattack, his active ability, you'll notice his active is a very low number. So adding 60% is actually a lot of damage when you're considering someone like Sigmund, but he has not been used in a very long time. Before Drake came out, he was how you got rid of armor on the enemies. Now you just don't have to worry about it, period. So yeah. Now, Abyss Faction feels like the one that has the most heroes that will benefit from this. Waldeck can do surprisingly well in PvE with it. He does have a ton of bleeds, which have that multiplicative skill damage added to it. His active hits pretty hard as well, so he is a very good candidate in PvE scenarios. Most of these heroes, though, it is purely like boss damage that we're talking about here. Marax can do okay with it, although I've had better experience with a Punisher staff. Now, Delacium is very, very good. One of the best PvE damage dealers when you combined him with Ithaca. But in reality, you don't need it on him. You need it on the Ithaca to really bang that damage through. Besides that, though, Thuga is an interesting pickup. If you do get one early game, it's not that bad because he does have a ton of burns and bleeds, and the more damage he can do is great. Back in the day, my boy Scary used to be really good with it. He was better with Kiss a Ghost, but that was the days before Drake. It was a decent artifact. I mean, if you're building a Scary army, sure, you could do it. Don't do it. Back in the day, it was not a great idea. Nowadays, still not a great idea. Beyond that, though, certain heroes, if you do have a Shaho on your account, you can do good PvE damage. He's very solid. He's pretty much like a budget version of a Sword Flash, just nowhere near as good. But his active ability is very strong, hitting multiple times. He can do very good in PvE. Another one that surprisingly does well is Garuda. If you don't have like a Punisher staff or a Kiss a Ghost, Antlers Cane works very well for Sealand with her as well. She's one of the still top damage dealers when we're talking about PvE boss damage, but she's the most flexible out of all like the regular faction heroes. When it comes to light and dark, there's really not many heroes you'd put it on. One candidate is Aspen. So typically if you're using your Aspen to get Sealand 20 in the Dark faction, you're going to want either a Crit Stone with an Antlers Cane or a Punisher Staff with an attack-oriented stone. So it's kind of like a trade-off. You want to balance attack and crit. If you do put an Antlers Cane on him, he's perfectly fine. Throw a Crit Stone on him. It'll be a really good combo. And really, I mean, the only one to talk about in the light faction is pure PvE damage. Russell, he still does really, really, really good PvE damage. He has good survivability. He can definitely get it done. But let's talk about the real important part of this video, and that is who uses it when we're talking about actual endgame content. Well, we know Vesa can do and literally break the damage numbers in the game from the video we did when she first came out. That is what it is. But there's a couple heroes we need to talk about. Number one, Asmodel can use an Antlers Cane when trying to get Sealand 25 done in the light faction. You can use a Punisher staff as well, but Antlers Cane upgraded is another one of those solutions to getting that done. Not many people are ever really going to get light Sealand done because it requires so many light heroes, and let's be honest, they're not even that great, so most people aren't building them. Scarlet Queen Halora is one that you do use it on for Sealand. Not every Sealand, only certain situations. I know like the first wave of every difficulty, it's easier using an Antlers Cane on her. I've actually seen a full Sealand 25 done with an Antlers Cane with Ignis support, so it can be done with her. But the real one that gets the most benefit out of this artifact is Sword Flashia. Not only she's like one of the best PvE damage dealers, but you use it on her when you're pushing in Void Vortex. You either use a Punisher Staff if the fight's going to be over within a couple rounds, or you use an Antlers Cane on her if it's going to go past, say, round 5, because then that damage bonus starts stacking up, and it is really, really strong on here. So hopefully that helps you guys out. Again, it is more of a PvE-oriented artifact by far, but it is the best one out there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. See you guys next time.